Stellar Crown is here, and like with every new Pokemon set release, I wanted to give a little breakdown and my thoughts of the set overall. So let's go ahead and dive into it. We're going to look at all the sealed products, we're going to go over the set, and take a deep dive into what other people are talking about it a little bit. So let's get into it. Here we are with the base prices right now that's going around with the drop and the release of the set. So booster boxes here, 108, pretty average price for when a set drops. $108 a booster box, and yeah, that's basically as basic as it gets. It's usually around 100 to 110 as soon as the set drops. And with this one, I mean, with the Japanese sets, you kind of know what's going to be inside of them. So the hype for this one was only for a certain few cards that we'll get into later, and it wasn't like super duper hyped. ETBs right under $40, pretty standard all around the board here. You can get yourself a case of 6 of them for 608. I mean, do save a little bit. 108 here, 608. Bro, am I tripping, or do Pokemon Center boxes keep going up $10 every time they release one? I swear there were 60 last I checked. There's not a whole lot to break down here. It's just the prices. But let's dive into the cards and thoughts on the cards. Now, this set does have some pretty solid illustration rares, but every Scarlet and Violet set has been having some banger illustration rares. It's really what the difference between like the good Scarlet and Violet sets and the bad ones has been the special illustrations and the alt arts, pretty much. Because if it doesn't have a good set of special illustrations, the set just it can't hold itself. Magikarp, how they evolved, that one's pretty good. Paradox Rift has some good ones with Groudon, Altaria, the Roaring Moon and Paradox Rift. Greninja, of course, is absolutely carrying. What was that? Twilight Masquerade. But let's get into these ones. So right here, let's go. I have the rares and double rares, but we'll take off most of these. So double rares, standard EX cards for the most part. Nothing too special. You do have a Blastoise and Venusaur in this set, so those are going to be fun to look at. We have a Squirtle as well. We'll look at those in a second. I have something pulled up here. We can get a closer look at them, but we're just giving a quick overview. There's a Greninja in here, Greninja EX at least. There's the Venusaur. You have a bunch of these ultra rares. We'll talk about those. And then, yeah, a lot of the illustration rares. I love illustration rares, man. And then we got a couple of these. Well, let's go ahead and talk about them. Venusaur EX, probably EXs are never like the most sought after cards, but out of all of them, Venusaur and the Blastoise will be the most pricey, which by pricey I mean they'll be more than 30 cents. They'll be like $1 or something probably. There's Blastoise there, and maybe the Greninja too. Nothing too crazy here. We do have a lot of Terra cards in this one, and I gotta say, sometimes I'm just not a big fan of these Terra cards, but there are certain ones that look good. There's one in this set that I'm a big fan of, but sometimes I'm just not a huge fan of these Terra cards. This is kind of the set of Tropicos. If you couldn't tell by all the products, he's kind of all over them. And here we are to the illustration rares. Let's just go in order here. Bulbasaur, this is going to be one of the top 2 illustration rares. I think it's already set like 30. But remember, this set just came out. These prices are going to all drop by half within a month or two. Just as more people open it up, buy more packs, open it up, list it. There's going to be more supply as a couple months go by. Ledian, pretty solid artwork. You know, it's just sometimes with these, and that's what's made some other sets struggle, is that Ledian is just not the most popular Pokemon out there. That's why Bulbasaur is going to be a big one in this one, especially with the Pidgey in there too. That's a nice card. We have a Lileep. There's a solid Lileep fan base out there. I do love just like the purple cards sometimes. I like that vibe it has. Turtonator. I know Turtonator's got a fan base because he was not a big character, but he was in the Pokemon anime for a bit. The Aloha series. Raboot, this one, it's a clean artwork, but I feel like they could have done more with this. Squirtle. Here I said Bulbasaur is going to be top 2. Here's the other one that's going to be top 2. Squirtle with Pidgey in it as well. If you combine these Bulbasaurs and the Pidgey with that Obsidian Flames promo of Charmander, this one right here, this is a very solid trio. If you combine those two from Stellar Crown with this Charmander, that's a solid trio. And this one even has the Pidgeys in it too. So yeah, great card here with Squirtle playing in the little kiddie pool. Crabominable up next. I'm not a huge fan of this one. I like Crabominable, and I get what they're trying to do here with him, like kind of faded into the background a little bit because with the Abominable Snowman, that's kind of the whole lore around it. But it just doesn't make for a good looking card, to be honest. But it is unique at least. Joltik, I like this one. I feel like this one's cool. The purple and yellow goes well with Joltik. Out of all the Pokemon, they somehow made Joltik look pretty cool, so that's good. We got Zeraora here. Cool to vibe here with all the neon. Let me know your thoughts on this one. I don't really know exactly because there is a Zeraora Alt Art and Chilling Rain that's still worth quite a bit today. It's like $40-$50 card. So maybe this one will be a sneaky underdog that's kind of hidden behind Squirtle and Bulbasaur. Milcery. Once again, I like the purple and pink cards. I think they're cool, but I don't know that this one's going to be that sought after. Meditite. This one I like just because it reminds me of the game, the Scarlet and Violet game. You got all these big mountains around you, Chatot in there, the river. That's a cool one. Gulpin. This one's a bit more basic. Just eating a cake. Background. They're not even really background. There's just a couple colors. Archaludon. The evolution of Duraludon. You got all the kids around him. And then we're back at Bulbasaur there. So, like I said, Bulbasaur, Squirtle, top two for sure. After that, I'd probably go Zeraora, Joltik for me personally. But I do like that Meditite as well. And then Turtonator does have a pretty big fan base. Could be a sneaky one. Alright, let's go to Full Arts. There's a Hydrapple Full Art in Stellar Crown. The Full Arts just, they don't do it for me like the illustration rares. They're just a lot more basic. The background's always basic. And here's the Terra ones that I'm talking about. These just don't look great to me. I like the rainbow outside. I'm going to have to see what that looks like in my hands. Because if that's super duper shiny, I do like the rainbow edge. But Lapras, Galvantula, this one's even uglier than the other two, man. These just aren't great, in my opinion. Doxbun, EX, Metacham EX, Orthworm EX. Pretty average. Full Arts, my favorite is probably the Hydrapple, just because I haven't seen a lot of cards from Hydrapple. Full Art Trainers. This set does have some pretty good Full Art Trainers with Briar, Crispin. Bro's cooking it up in there. He's cooking it. You got Kofu, Lacey, decent. And then here we are with the special illustration and the Trainer Alt Arts Hydrapple special illustration. Here's the thing. There is a pretty decent community for Dipplin and then all of his evolutions. Appleton later down the road. Galvantula EX. Here we are with the Terras again. This one's at least better than that Full Art one. But still, it kind of combines the Full Art with the Joltik. So I do like that. But still, the Terras, they just, to me, they're not my favorite. But it is cool. I like the little rainbow aspect on the edge. We got a Doxbun EX. I don't have much to say about this one. It's Doxbun surrounded by a bunch of other pastry. It's a nice artwork. And then here's the Terrapagos EX Terra, which I think is going to be the chase in this set. And this is the one that I said, this is the Terra that I like. This is a sick Terra, in my opinion. All of these elements, we got Terrapagos in the middle there. And then the blue really fits this. Sometimes with the Terra, I don't know. The Galvantula Terra is good too, but like I said, sometimes with the Terra, they just do too much white. Too much of this crystallized whiteness. I don't know. It's not my thing, but this is my thing. I like Terrapagos. Some alt arts. These are all solid. Two solid artworks there. And then we have the gold cards. The gold cards have fallen off in Scarlet and Violet, in my opinion. I think Sword and Shield gold cards I loved. These ones, I just don't like the crystallized stuff in the back. I know it's the Terra thing, but I just like the older gold cards. Area 0, Under Depths, Bravery Charm, Alright, looking at it high to low here on TCG Player, that Terrapagos is sitting around 131 market price. It's carried a lot by this Bulbasaur and Squirtle, in my opinion. Terrapagos is a decent one, but it's similar to Temporal Forces for me, it's just one of the newer Pokemon, and it just doesn't hold as much as some other, chase cards. But you can't have a Greninja in every single set or a Charizard, and we've seen sets with Charizard flop too. But Tropico's top card, Lacey, Alt Art here, second, Hydrapple. See, I feel like Hydrapple, Squirtle, and Bulbasaur are gonna be some nice ones to have from this set. And then you have Galvantula here as the fifth most, and then a bunch of your others fall into place. Zeraora, market price $6. Joltik, some of these are already pretty far down. There's listings from $139 for this reboot. But yeah, you can already get some of these artworks if you're like me and love the artworks for a pretty solid price. $1 or something a card. Personally, Stellar Crown doesn't blow me away, but I am too critical on sets when they first release. I was pretty critical on Temporal Forces and Twilight Masquerade, and they are better than I originally gave them credit for. Temporal Forces still for me. Twilight Masquerade is just carried by the Greninja. Everybody wants that Greninja. This one, though, doesn't have a Greninja in it, and it has some nice illustration rares, don't get me wrong, Bulbasaur and Squirtle. But unless you love Darkspun, Hydrapple, Terapagos, or Galvantula, the special illustrations don't provide much. There's not even, out of any of those four, there's not one, like, super popular Pokemon. You know what I'm saying? Typically, there's at least one of those per set. And like the Squirtle or Bulbasaur, but those are just normal illustration rares. So my early prediction is that this is going to fall into place as a pretty mid-tier set, and maybe even on the lower mid-tier. It's going to be above Obsidian Flames and maybe Scarlet and Violet base, but I don't know how much else it'll be above. It's going to have to be carried by Bulbasaur and Squirtle. That's all I know.